Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Junk Film Review. In this series, I'll be digging through bargain bins, diving in dumpsters and scouring the very bottom of ratings lists to find the worst films in existence. But the real purpose of this is to try and discover some of the hidden gems. I'm sure by now that you're familiar with such films as The Room, or Troll 2, or Killer Clowns from Outer Space. But if you aren't, I strongly recommend that you check them out, because they perfectly demonstrate the level of quality that we're looking for. At this point in time, there's a fairly reasonable sized list of cult films that have managed to toe the fine line between charming and f***ing terrible, but it is a very fine line, and an overwhelming majority of bad films just don't cut it, so please be prepared for some of the cringiest and most pathetic attempts at filmmaking that you have ever seen. Today's offering is Alien Contagion, a shoddily thrown together mistake of a film with an extremely questionable cast. This piss-poor embarrassment has been released on 3 separate occasions to no success. Originally called Originally called Contagion, the film clashed with an arguably worse film by the same name which was released to a wider audience the following year, and so the creative powerhouse behind John's Contagion opted to give it another go, renaming it Bio Slime. Ignored yet again, the film slid back off into complete obscurity until 2016. Through what is clearly just a pathetic attempt to cash in from the hype surrounding the upcoming release of Alien Covenant, the creators decided to change the name again to Alien Contagion. Coincidence? Perhaps. We should give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe this wasn't intentional. Oh, wait. There's a fake xenomorph on the box art. It wasn't a coincidence. They were genuinely attempting to just mislead people. This can't be legal. My pizza senses are already tingling. This one is gonna be a goodie. So, we open with a scene where some shady back alley deal is taking place between Man 1 and Man 2. One of them's trying to sell something that's just generically referred to as the drugs, which he decides to kindly allow the other man to sample.
This is what you want.
To add intrigue to this scene, it takes place at night, which is demonstrated by the fact that we can't f***ing see anybody. It's also extremely difficult to understand what anyone is saying, because they clearly only shot a single take of every line.
Trust you were successful.
Trust that's not a damn sandwich in there?
A trust-a-la-la-la-la-la-la.
Trust that's not a damn sandwich in there?
There's even a dog barking in the back of the take. Just shoot it again.
Trust that's not a damn sandwich in there?
Just cut it out. Cut it from the film. What? I honestly can't even make a guess at what he was saying.
Trust that's not a damn sandwich in there?
What the fuck? In exchange for the drugs, Man 1 presents us with a Fisher-Price biohazard briefcase and warns us that it's extremely dangerous. The deal falls apart, Man 2 gets shot, morphs into some kind of alien, and then uses Man 1 to decorate the side of his car. Man 1's stowaway witnesses this and flees in the freshly pimped vehicle, transitioning quite nicely into a state-of-the-art title treatment of green text on a plain black background. In film theory, we refer to the mise en scène, which is the arrangement of scenery or props or other things that are just on the set of the film. Essentially, everything you see on screen was put there deliberately. Every little object is a decision made by the artist to tell you, the viewer, something about the world of the film or the characters within it. So through manipulation of the mise en scène, we're introduced to this film's main protagonist. See if you can pick up on the subtle hints which allude to his character. Some paintings and stuff. Yes, he must be an artist. Dirty, painty towel. Some paint. He must be a painter then. A painting. I think this guy might be a painter. Ooh, alcohol. He's troubled. Oh, the same shot from a slightly different angle. Oh, some paint. He must be an artist. And through a painfully sloppy phone conversation, our suspicions are confirmed. Yes, Wiggy here is an artist and an alcoholic.
What am I doing? I'm taking a drink.
The lady from the opening scene pulls up in the car, which has clearly been cleaned because there's no longer blood all down the side of it like there was previously. And then for some reason, which is never explained, she decides to bring the briefcase inside. So then we're introduced to Wiggy's neighbour, who's just tucking into some delicious homemade drugs. Which is probably why he reacts so disproportionately to some extremely alarming news.
David is dead!
What the f*** do you mean David is dead?
I don't know. He killed a cop or something.
That stupid asshole. What the hell is he doing?
David, he's dead. He killed a policeman. What an asshole. What the hell is he doing?
All I know is that there's blood all over the car, okay?
No, there isn't. You just pulled up in a clean car. So Druggy decides to frantically clean the car. Meanwhile, Wiggy is absolutely fascinated with the mysterious briefcase that's been left behind. What's this then? Danger. Caution. Biohazard. Wonder what that means. Kill. Live? Yeah, I want to live. Yeah, I'll better turn that. Oh. We're then introduced to a character only referred to as Landlord, who is apparently the kind of guy who likes to wear all of his clothes at the same time. To introduce another level of pointless conflict to the narrative, he tells Wiggy that he must move out of the building, and for some reason, which completely escapes me, decides to deliberately snap the key in the lock of the door. Why would you inconvenience yourself like that? Just take the key away. The only reason I can think of for him doing this is so that the characters can't lock the door later in the film. In this extremely poignant scene, Wiggy has a moment of clarity and decides to dispose of all of his alcohol by throwing it aggressively at the wall like a petulant child. It also becomes clear at this point that the bottles I incorrectly assumed were filled with wine are actually just wine bottles filled with water. I suspect he's just posing as an alcoholic to brashly conform to the artist's stereotype, maybe in the vain hope that he would appear to be more authentic. There comes a point during the production of every horror movie where the director stops and says, how can I shoehorn in some needless female nudity? Well, John's got it covered. Let's just make the neighbour a porn director. Sorted. And now we're swiftly introduced to the supporting cast. First up, Moody Sue, who's a miserable adult film star from downstairs. Domestic Dawn, whose backstory deals with the topic of domestic violence in the sort of ham-fisted way you'd expect an elderly person to explain what Bitcoin is.
You don't understand.
Oh, I do understand.
Mrs. Landlord, Landlord's mail-order wife who serves absolutely no purpose. Mr. Facts, a character whose entire dialogue is just misquoted information from Wikipedia. And Gia Paloma, an actress who you may remember from such films as Big Wet Asses or Butt Bang My Ass Punk 4. Now the gang are all together, and they're eagerly anticipating the arrival of Brandon, Dawn's abusive boyfriend. This is the setup for probably one of my favourite movie entrances of all time. Wiggy and Mr. Facts are bracing against the door to prevent the angry Brandon from entering the building.
I just want to talk to you.
After a rather heated discussion, the gang conclude that Brandon is an asshole due to his violent treatment of Dawn. To show him that this kind of behaviour won't be tolerated, they all take it in turns to assault him from the moment that he arrives. After some excellent choreography and camera work, it becomes apparent that the gang haven't had the necessary stage combat training to beat Brandon, so Moody cracks out the taser and makes him leave. Brandon returns to his car to retrieve his toy gun and superglue so he can glue the locks shut on his way in? Again, the only explanation for this f***ing stupid behaviour is because he's in a film. People don't do things like this in real life. Fortunately for everyone, a slime creature has escaped from the briefcase and grabs a hold of Brandon. Meanwhile, the mystery gang are cautiously making their way outside when they bump into him.
Back to the studio. It's not locking.
Remembering the difficulties that they faced earlier with preventing Brandon from entering the room, the gang decide to reinforce the door by hammering nails directly into the front of it. Wiggy quickly whips up a redneck flamethrower to make zombie Brandon back off, but now they're trapped! It's literally only a few minutes of being trapped in the room before the gang resort to pissing and shitting in buckets, prompting Mr. Fax to remember something really useful.
You know Piero Manzoni canned his shit and sold it.
Who?
Piero Manzoni. He's an artist.
That's bullshit.
No. He called it artist shit in 1961. Sold it for the same price as gold.
He sold it for the same price as gold. How much gold? All of the gold? What? For f***'s sake. It's then they come up with the plan. Send the smallest member of the gang off into the walls to try and find help and seal her in. Gia almost immediately hits a dead end when she bumps into the slime creature within the walls. Then we cut to some stock footage of some city skylines, which is basically irrelevant. Is this supposed to show the passage of time? Like, what? Are we just going to cut straight back to the room? Yeah, cut straight back. Bored out of their minds, the gang all aimlessly sit around moaning about the situation they're in, and Druggy decides to take a tab of acid, which has no effect on him and is never referenced again in the entire movie.
Look, that creature didn't kill me the first time I touched it.
Yeah. How come?
Wiggy theorises that the slime monster is repelled by alcohol, based on pretty much zero evidence. So he looks for something to drink.
No, that's denatured alcohol, wood alcohol.
So what?
So what? It'll kill him.
Gia seems to be acting slightly off since she spent some time in the walls, so Wiggy decides to err on the side of caution and smash her f***ing brains in. Luckily, Wiggy's completely unprompted intuition was correct, and Gia turns into a slime creature and attacks the gang. She's swiftly cut in half, bagged up, and taped into a plastic bin. Moody Sue seizes the opportunity to run away, and while climbing around in the walls, gets taken captive by the slime creature. It's here we learn a few things. A, the slime speaks English better than the rest of the cast, and B, it's sexual?
I can make you feel things, sensations you can't yet imagine.
Wait, I've just figured out what this movie is. It's tentacle porn. For f***'s sake. It's at this point the film reaches its peak of tediousness, and I simply just want it all to be over. The slime gets to the remaining idiots one by one, as Wiggy desperately tries to hack the mysterious briefcase. In what is probably supposed to be a bold scene of redemption, Wiggy drinks a shitload of denatured alcohol to repel the slime creature, and buys the rest of the gang time to escape. He then fills a sprayer with the same denatured alcohol and covers the apartment in it. Yep, better cover your face, wouldn't want to breathe any of that in now, would you? And now, the epic final showdown between our protagonist and the evil slime. Oh no, he just immediately gets overpowered and sort of like limply drops his sword, and then he has to resort to blowing up the meth lab that's apparently in his apartment, destroying the whole building without actually checking if anyone got out in time. What a hero! Wow! Wow! To summarise, the appalling screenplay for this film must have been created by somebody who is deliberately depriving themselves of oxygen for the duration of writing, and is performed by a dreadful cast who should just return to having throbbing appendages shoved into all of their orifices. It's just one long, drab, pointless cliche with nothing interesting or different to say. Every single shot has some kind of fuck-up in it, which is almost an achievement in itself. Its only redeeming feature was its use of practical effects, which were, for the most part, okay. But aside from that, this movie is an absolute embarrassment, and everyone involved should feel ashamed for creating it. I don't really see the point in giving films scores. I feel they're completely contrived, but seeing as everyone has some kind of numeric fixation, I'll explain my feelings for this movie in a concise and quantitative way. I'd rather drink 4 shots of increasingly dehydrated piss than ever watch this film again. Unfortunately, this piece of shit doesn't deserve to go back in the bin, so we're gonna have to get rid of it in another way. Subscribe to my f***ing channel. Thanks.
It's still burning.
Yeah.